Hello and welcome to the part 19 of my Pillars of Eternity Definitive Edition playthrough. In the last episode, or more like in the last two episodes, we were doing various quests in Ondra's Gift and tried to solve some mysterious issues, including Banshee in the lighthouse. So we are still needing to finish few of these quests and then we can slowly start moving to the Heritage Hill, the last part of Defiance Bay. So let's continue right away. Okay, this is our party, and in the last episode we exchanged Sagani for Palagina. This is a character sheet. As you see, we are trying to go the more benevolent, diplomatic and rational way of doing stuff, and as you can see we are already level 7. And the quests we need to finish are still this and if I remember correctly, it's oh yeah, I know it's not in a journal, but we found a dagger with the name B, which is a quest item and which was used for killing a small kid which we found last time in the water or in the docks of Ondra's Gift.
Certainly. Laying low.
Also, we have found one box which needs to be given back to its rightful owner. He should be somewhere here.
Greetings.
Marcello fidgets nervously. He grins hopefully at you. Any luck finding the captain's chest? Here you are, contents intact. You did it. I mean, I knew you would, but oh, thank you. It's all here. You've saved my life. Friend, truly, I owe you one. Here's the week's wages, like I promised. No need for that, just keep it. Really? I then thank you, again, for all you've done. At least take this. I picked it up while we were in port in Adir as a good luck charm, but I want you to have it. I won't forget this. I returned stolen sea chest to a very graceful Marcello. Let's see what item is this. +2 intellect. And because of this, it's much better for my main character. And let's check how big result. 15. Let's just for the sake of it give it to Palagina. She has not very good item. Where did I put it? Here. Okay, now let's try to find the guy who killed Derrin. It's always bittersweet sailing from home, but seeing exotic locations is a decent enough trade-off. Back for a taste of sea breeze. For all. Oh. Let's go to Salty Must, maybe. Someone will know somebody with the name starting on B.
I'm ready.
Certainly. Certainly.
Okay, let's talk to Maya.
Gods keep you.
Tell me about the place. You're a sharp one, aren't you? I thought that was clear as the crystal waters below the docks, she laughs. This is the Saltimus, the most famous house of pleasure in Defiance Bay. We've got drinks, beds, and good company to help you enjoy both. Of course, the club for refined, prestigious gentlemen is upstairs. You will find several of the hardest working boys and girls in Defiance Bay up there too. No. What about Linus?
Good day to you.
She leans on the bar, her black painted nails tapping the wood. What it will be? I'd like to order refreshments. Nope. Talk to me if you've got questions about the attractions. A lady's good to have her fun, especially these days. Things are always busy here. The elf's long hair frames high cheekbones and the long slender nose. It's not every day that the club gets such a breath of fresh air. With Sorrel gone, the salty must needed someone else on top, so here I am. I'll be going. It's not just the drinks that are stiff around here. Okay, let's get around the gift to find that bee guy. I do want to talk to Derrin's parents before I find the guy. A touch of sophistication would do much good around here. No, empty. Again, this is someone with a bee. Let's do it this way. I got as much right to stand here as the guys going into that warehouse. They don't like what I got to say. They can go somewhere else. Show him the dagger you found on Derrin. This belongs to you? That's mine, alright. And no one touches my dagger and lives. I'd like to see you try.
I'm ready.
Hey.
Inconvenient. I killed Bragan and his cronies. Good.
Certainly.
We can now talk to his father. And to his mother. Your son is dead. Derrin was defending one of the women here from a couple of tucks. Weight seems to share through you. My boy died while I was here. Oda, my wife, she always said I'd come to no good, but I never thought. That can't be changed now. You have to decide to move forward with your life. Wade loves bitterly. You obviously never lost a child. My future is right here. He looks into his mug, and at this rate, it will be a short one. Just leave me alone. As you wish. Oh, I forgot the grimoire for Eloth. Oh, a lot of new spells. $9,700. Still a lot of money.
Bright fetching feathers, lass.
Repeat, please, in Derrin. And stand closer so I can grab your neck if you said what I think you did.
That was Isselmere. She likes your feathers.
Thanks, but I'm not interested, Isilmir.
Okay, this is the boy's mother. You may want to... have you found my Derrin yet? You may want to sit down. Derrin won't be coming back. Odette's mouth falls open, and she stares back in shock. My boy's dead? That can't be. What happened? He crossed two dangerous men near the brothel. She sobs and quickly brings a hand to her mouth. Her eyes are bright with tears. How could the gods be so cruel? Her breath hitches. How? How could anyone let this happen to my boy? After several seconds, she closes her eyes and swallows. I suppose it's better to know the truth than to keep wondering. Thank you, at least for bringing me answers. Here, take these. I'd been saving several keepsakes for Derrin one day, but he won't need them now, and I doubt I'll have another child to pass them on to. Oda was crushed by the news that Derrin was murdered, but at least she knows what happened to him. Oh, we still need to take the scepters in... Okay. Good, we have 3 more quests here before we go to Heritage Hill. And what we got? Find dagger. And minor ring of protection. This one goes here. And the ring, I think, very good addition for Palagina. Let's go to Valian Embassy.
Next time we get the chance, I'm buying you a pint. That means a lot, Adair. Oh, do you want one too? Sorry, I meant for Isselmere. I'll get you one too.
I really love these NPC interactions. Anyway, let's go to first fire to the Valian Embassy for Palagina. Messengers from Gilded Vale bring shocking news. Lord Redrick VII's loyal Thane of the Deerwood has been slain. He is succeeded by Kolsch, last surviving relative of the Redrick line. And we are right next to
In
Valian's embassy.
Takoa, we have a memorial for the Saints' War. They say a Rawatai artillery master contributed to the Godhammer bomb. I wondered
Of course. You want Rawatai to be a part of this history. Crow about how your people helped the Deerwood. Maybe your Ranganui lied, Amawa.
On second thought, I'll ask Adair.
Ah, Vicente Angosti. Let's talk to him.
Ambassador Agosti, I would speak with you on a matter of some urgency and great importance.
Sighing as though remembering some heavy burden, Vincent crosses his arms before replying, Pelagina, if this is the time matter we previously discussed, I doubt I will be convinced any more easily. Ambassador, please hear her out. The ambassador praises you for several moments and nods respectfully. You are well known in Defiance Bay, Mamulian. He smiles softly, even in the Violent Embassy. Vincent turns his attention back to Pelagina. So, you're keeping a respectable company these days. He throws up his hand and shrugs. Hardly a good reason to go stirring up trouble with Animancers and who knows else.
Ambassador, there are issues at stake here that go beyond rogue merchants and a port staying open. Animancy is under attack in Defiance Bay.
Pelagina shakes her feathered fist to emphasize her point. We have to protect our interests here, but that also means knowing when to avoid unnecessary entanglements. The Animancers and the locals have problems. They'll work them out. Or they won't. Either way, there's too much risk by getting involved.
If it is outlawed here, what would prevent the same from happening in our republics?
The ambassador's face vacillates between expressions of sympathy and frustration. Pelagina, I do not think your concerns are unfounded, but it is not the place of this embassy to countermand the Republic's policies. If it makes any difference, Ambassador, I'm already looking into the matters Pelagina has spoken of. It doesn't, but it would be fortuitous if your investigation took you to Twin Elms, because that's where Pelagina needs to go.
What is it the Dukes need of me, Ambassador?
The Deerwood's instability has created an opportunity for us to take over their trade with Glanfath. We will need to meet with the Glanfathans soon to secure upcoming trade arrangements. The road to Twin Elms can be dangerous, of course, but that's why you'll be our representative there.
It shows the Ambassador. But won't this provoke the Deerwoodins? Their country is falling apart, and we're already dividing up their trade alliances.
Provoke them into what? Going to war? Through no fault of the Republic's, the Deerwood's armies have been deprived of an entire generation of soldiers. It would be foolish not to take advantage of the situation. If we don't, the Red Serrans will. It does make sense, Pelagina. The Deerwood has problems, and sooner or later, someone's going to profit from it.
Madiko. When I walked in here, I didn't think we were going to be talking about how to chop up the Deerwood's corpse.
Vincel holds up his hands to set Pelagina at ease. That's not what we're talking about. This is just business. Pelagina raises an eyebrow and clenches her jaw but remains silent. Pelagina. He shakes his head. Go to Twin Elms, speak to the Anamenfath, impress upon her the instability of the Deerwood, and reassure her of the Valen Republic's desire to open safe trade.
Of course, Ambassador.
The ambassador nods and smiles paternally. Then he looks at you. I know you planned on investigating this crisis together, but I hope you understand Pelagina's responsibilities. Of course, Ambassador. We all have our duties to attend to. Pelagina narrows her eyes at you in annoyance, but Vincent beams. Excellent. Now then, if you will excuse me.
Could have gone better. Could have gone worse. Not that you helped put up much of a fight.
What's to fight? You have your orders and you're already in trouble with the dukes.
I know, but it's still frustrating. I've spent enough time moping anyway. Now I just need to figure out how to get to Twin Elms before the ambassador loses his patience.
She pauses in thought. Still, I fear that making this deal with the Glenfathans will further weaken the Deerwood and make trouble for the Republics in the years to come. Well, it's a long way to Twin Elves. You have plenty of time to think it over.
Verus.
Despite her best efforts, Ambassador Agosti has insisted that Pelagina carry out her orders to broker a trade agreement between the Wayland Republics and the Gladfenans with the Anamenfath in Twin Elms. Such an agreement will steal trade away from the Deerwood, an act that would increase tension between the Deerwood and the Republics. Okay, now let's go to nuns in the sanitarium in Brackenbury. Let's find nuns.
Good day to you.
Are you the animancer who's been buying relics from Imatla? There's a large and rather notorious black market for uncatalogued and written relics. I stay far away from it. Very well. Here is Nanas.
Good day, stranger.
An elderly woman peruses the shelves with a quickness and energy that belie her age. I'm afraid I don't practice anymore, child. Too busy with my research. What do you do here? I'm an animancer, used to venture on all kinds of underfunded and ill-fated trips out of the expedition hall when I was your age. But lately, I've found research better suited to my current pace. She pats a creaking knee and laughs. Nance regards you with bright, intelligent eyes. Can I help you with something else? I'd like to know more about the sanitarium. It's the official center of animancy in Defiance Bay, founded in 2729. And before you get saucy, no, I wasn't around at the time. It was built to treat ailments for the mind and soul, important sort of place to have in a growing city, and its construction marked the end of the animancy slowdown that followed the Bell Reach accident. The Bell Reach accident? She shakes her head. A terrible setback for the discipline. A researcher working outside the Bell Marsh shattered the souls of a dozen volunteers. Her voice lowers to a growl. Of course, we'll never know what went wrong because the mob tore him to pieces. This mishap bears some of the blame for the slower pace of research in 2.5 decades that followed, but it also helped concentrate practicing animancers here in Defiance Bay. What do you know about awakenings? Not much, I'm afraid, but the sanitarium attracts experts from all over. I'm sure someone here can help you out. Emetal sent me. He said you'd be interested in these scepter pieces we found. That chatty old fishwife's been blabbing about me, I see. She laughs and then rolls her eyes. Never trust your secret to a man with so much salt in his bird. Anyway, let's see what you got. Nance examines the scepters, her eyes hooded by crinkled flesh. Metal told you true. I'll buy this. Unfortunately, a broken scepter isn't as valuable as he may have led you to believe. She steals a glance at your face, but her fingers tighten around the piece in her hands. I'll take it off of you for 500. You seem a little too excited. What aren't you telling me? The corners of her mouth twitch upward, sharper than immortal, I see. The truth is, I could repair the scepter. She runs her fingers along one of the pattern's pieces. It's broken, sure enough, but the pieces themselves are in good condition. Making it whole again is a matter of alchemy, expensive alchemy. I got to soak the broken ends in a fiend's blood compound to reconnect them. Never mind the embalming work to restore the enchantments. She eyes you. I could do it to tune of 1800 pence. Put the scepter back together. I'll expect you want to watch and see what's your money's put to good use. Better get comfortable then. She lays out an array of powders, potions, and other obscure ingredients on her desk. After what feels like hours, she returns to the main hall with you and presents the scepter. Looking at it, you'd never know it had been broken in the first place. This may be the finest work I've ever done, if I may say so, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Examining a piece like that is a dream come true for someone in my field. She gazes at it wistfully. Take good care of it. Farewell. I paid Nance to repair the scepter. The process was expensive, but the restored scepter is a powerful weapon. Nance offered to reassemble the scepter for 1800 pence. Okay, let's check the weapon. Yep, this one is better. Okay, next up is the Hall of Research, or how it's called, and Copper Lane for Eder. But let's check the house domain one more time. If they kick me out again or speak with me.
Hello?
What business do you have with the Demenals? Very well. I will see you out.
Here, kitty. Come on, I want to pet you.
So let's go to Copper Lane. Who is Sandvik? A red-faced young man approaches you. He appears livid and stammers as he speaks. You killed my beloved. This will not stand. Your beloved? What are you talking about? The man's face darkens and snarls. Danna, and I were to be wet. You will pay for your insolence. Another house demenal. And let's stun him right away.
Yes?
Griff!
Oh, we got 200 raw damage on our cellbound item. So now either 300 on dazed enemies or 1500 on whatever enemies. This will take a little longer. I think everything is better than this, so let's get it here.
Certainly.
Oh, wrong. Never mind.
How do you do?
Grimna glances down her spectacles. Ever inquisitive? I see. Forever. Okay, I just made a mistake and I need to get to the Duke's Palace. There is a quest for Eder.
What? Implore him to curb his violent impulses? At the word of a heroic academic?
You don't usually grace me with your flattery, priest. What merits this attention?
All Rawatai's history is war, same as everyone. If only the world were led by soft-hearted giants who waste their muscles stroking their own quills. Oh, wouldn't that be grand?
I'm content to remain a burr in your boots. But here, if you but stand on the docks, you can single-handedly ensure no one ever sails to the Deerwood again.
Okay, here is the Duke's mansion. And he's the records keeper. So at the moment we have ally, so let's let's check out here if he tell us more about Eddar's brother.
Greetings.
The man continues his work without looking up. I'm looking for militia records from the time of the Saints' War, trying to find out what happened to someone. The man clears his throat. We've had a number of inquiries about such information. I'm afraid we've had to bar access to the public. Seems there are still quite a number of folk in Deerwood who bear ill will towards Red Serrans. It would be irresponsible to surrender their names to just anyone. Many came to settle here as refugees. Perhaps if you were more established in Defiance Bay, things would be different, but I have no reason to suspect you to be any different from the others. Or well, okay, so looks like ally reputation still is not enough to follow more this quest. Okay, I think it's time now to get to Endless Paths and finish at least one more level before continuing more with Defiance Bay quests. Let's see the stronghold. One day and 13 hours. Let's get there. It will be finished by the time I'll venture there.
Looks a little healthier than before.
Palace Messengers, prestigious visitor. Let's see this and also the one more quest. Another messenger from the Ducal Palace has arrived in Kidnua. Chancellor Warren said he'd sent another messenger if anything new regarding my disputed ownership of Sednua came up. Chancellor Warren seems to have sent another messenger from the Ducal Palace in Defiance Bay. Messenger is awaiting me in the Greater Hall. Let's exchange Moonshine for a second with Palagina. Yep, she's leveled up.
Oh?
This one is interesting. Oh, level 4 as well. Let's use this one. Interesting. No, and what is frenzy? Let's go with brute force. Level 6. Sword. Nice. Great sword. On. This one. Or no. I go two-handed style. Okay, now put Palagina back to the party.
Watch your back.
Certainly.
The shackler. At least, I'm glad you're here, my lord. My name is Solmar. I have a matter of some importance to discuss, if you have time. We already heard that. For a while. I bear a message from the Ducal Palace. Pardon the intrusion, my lord. Chancellor Warren urgently requests that you meet him at the charred barrel in Brackenbury. Why isn't the Chancellor meeting me at the palace? Perhaps the Chancellor is meeting with you in an unofficial capacity. It happens from time to time. Is it about Kednua again? I don't know, my apologies, my lord. I am merely a messenger. You notice a bit of sweat trickle from the messenger's brow. I'll meet with the Chancellor when I can. The messenger goes and leaves. Chancellor Warren has requested another meeting with me. This time, he wants to speak with me at the Cheryl Bar in the Brackenbury district of the Defiance Bay.
Oh?
Let's check what we have here. This is what our moonshine has found. It revives not revives, but changes knockout.
I trust all is well. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
What is the state of the keep? Oh, where to begin? Let's see here. Oh, nothing new.
I trust all is well. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
I have some questions. Then I will do all in my power to answer. What would you like to know? I have questions about Council Hout and the Torn Bannermen. Yes? Who is Council Hout? A famed
archmage. I am given to understand that the Brackenbury Sanitarium puts much stock in his work as regards the manipulation of the soul. His spells are widely circulated. But he is poorly regarded in many circles. Some call him a madman, or else cruel and barbarous. He must be very old by now. Perhaps that is why the Torn Bannermen believe they can best him.
Do you know anything else about these mercenaries?
Little enough, I'm afraid. The Torn Bannermen are well supplied and well organized, and there are rumors that they are backed by an unknown benefactor. They have proved remarkably effective in the past, and they are certainly a threat now.
I don't have any more questions. Was there anything else? I have some questions. Was this your keep once?
Not as a land is its lord's, more as a child is its mother's. This castle was my design, you see. The Earl appointed me to do it. I was getting on in years. I knew it would be my only chance to build something magnificent. When it was built, I couldn't bring myself to part from it, to go back to my lonely home. I begged the Earl to let me stay, to take care of it. It was all I wanted, and he granted it. Years later, when Bereth's usher finally came calling, I begged the Earl to find a way to let me remain, and so he did.
You mentioned an earl before.
The Earl of Yenwood, the original, in fact, when Deerwood was a colony. He found this site, the only ruin Ere Glanfarth refused to defend, and he believed its wealth would be great. The keep was his way of defending his family's claim, and that claim became his obsession. He had to know what lay beneath. He devoted his life to excavating the ruins below the keep. They had been sealed with rock and soil. Deliberately, it would seem. Years passed, and with them the Earl. He dug his entire life and never found what he sought. His obsession became his sons and his sons' sons. And one day, that young Earl broke through.
And he found the endless path waiting for him. Yes, an endless maze, incomprehensible in his construction, but he would never come to learn more than that. Wild things had taken residence there, wild and dangerous. They poured up through the keep and slew its residents, the Earl among them.
After that, the keep remained abandoned, unused, wasted. Meowall's mastery of this place was the first hope I'd had in 200 years. How I've longed to see it as it once was. I can only guess why all this has happened. I fear I've wronged the gods putting this place here, and they've doomed me to watch it wear away into dust. To witness my own folly.
Are you imprisoned in that throne?
Imprisoned? At times it feels that way, I suppose. But it's more that I reside here. The throne was brought up from the ruins, one of the first things they found. As a last favor to a dying woman, the Earl arranged for me to be moved into it. Audra is an accommodating vessel for a soul. Oh, it's not as confining as it seems. I can feel the whole keep from here, and all things that are tied to it. There's something about this throne and its construction. Or maybe it's something about this place.
I don't have any more questions. Was there anything else? Very well. Okay,
Looks a little healthier than before.
let's take a nap. And let's talk to Durance for a few seconds before moving on. The pit. And what must you say now? I had a question I wanted to ask you.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
Tell me about Magran. You are swelling with questions. One would think you were with child or burning up inside. Who are her enemies?
Before, when you asked about allies, well now, Ally? Enemy? That's a skin's edge of difference in history's eye. But there were enemies. Were.
Eotath. Durance gives a cold grin. Nuts, but we sorted it out. Then, Hylia and her queen's crown of feathers and birds, he sneers. Perhaps she claims to see the world from her perch. I hope she saw what happened to Eotas, and if she dares to walk upon an earth where such fire runs. Her temples are things of windows and twittering music if a bird falls. Know that it's a victory seeing another set of darting eyes from that feathered beach die is a pleasure to me. You bear her a lot of rage. She and her clergy offer shelter the Othasians since his death, his humiliations. She's next for me. Something else about Magran. Does she have any allies?
Some, shaped for hunt and war. Abidan the Golem. Galawain and his beasts. The latter keeps us honest and awake. The other makes the tools by which we punish those who are not.
I'm familiar with Abaddon. Durance nods. Wouldn't have been surprised if you hadn't. More gods than weeds in a field, and those are only the ones of this lifetime. They come and go, but are always here at the same time. Abaddon used to look human, Durance grunts. Got killed, then built a new body for himself. Transformation, with Magran's help. Perhaps she needed her own blacksmith to tend the fires. If so, Abaddon serves it. Durance frowns. He is a weapon, a tool, not a god in my mind. Still, the people of Deerwood, the cities especially, do hold him dear, so be it. Although, if the reward for hard work and craftsmanship is a body like his, I'll keep my blood and my cup and hips to trust it with. You also mentioned Galawain. Monster Father, the Great Hound, and as for monsters, this world has quite a bit, and not just the ones on two legs. It's if he's made monsters solely to hunt them, to remind men of their place. He's busy making more, I suspect. More monsters than sense. Variation upon variation. What do you mean? His aspects are a confusing bunch, and considering he respects reversal of fortune, especially in beasts, perhaps not so confusing. No reason why Magran and he share a bet in my eyes, even if he does believe in the trial. A filthy Orlan god in many ways, howling and mewling, perhaps like they do. They can keep their beasts. I'll take a fair fire and weapons any day. I'd watch your next words carefully when speaking of Orlans. Durance glances at you, then snorts. Ah, Orlan Defiance. Now there's something to fear. A lot of good that did to you when the slaying was at its peak, and you were all foot racks and prone racks for various shit-heeled nobles. Durance sneers. Those days may come again. After all, you deserved it. Deserved it? What do you mean? Durance looks at you surprised. Too weak to defend yourself. You were tested, still are, and you're lacking. Orlan, war isn't going to stop and wait for you to catch up. He frowns as if thinking, no, an Orlan watcher maybe gets enough of you, then you'll have a chance, but we'll see, won't we? At least I will. Not sure if your eyes will, too busy looking outward, judging me for your own failings. Something else about Magran? Can
Some,
analyze.
shaped for hunt and
Sounds like someone wants the same treatment. Derrin shifts his weight and his eyes narrow slightly. You're welcome to try, and I'll clean my boots on you just as the nobles did. You're the only ones to blame. You were too weak to defend yourself. You were tested, still are, and you're lacking. Derrin shrugs. Orlan, war isn't going to stop to wait for you to catch up. He frowns as if thinking. That's again. What's your view on Magran? Do you have Wel's eyes painted on your skin? There's more mysteries than questions, and even a marching force of answers won't placate you. Even soldiers need to let their thoughts settle, just as their priests do.
Yes?
Okay,
Hi?
let's see. His grimoire. This. Let's check this.
Yes?
And now time to sleep. Finally. And this. You awake to see Durance, his staff held in both of his hands before him. A flame flickers at its top end, casting long shadows across his face as he stares in contemplation. Still, for all the light of the fire, your eyes can't focus on him. Perhaps it is awakening from sleep, or a trick of the light, but he seems indistinct, blurred around the edges. Everything except for the staff. The staff. He seems to be studying its engravings. As you watch, the engravings glow thinly red, like through the cracks of heat-suffused wood. The lines stream like molten metal, burning along the edges of his staff, then branch out in an intricate series of fiery veins, bunching thickly where his hands clutch the wood, pulsing as if a heartbeat. As you watch, the veins spiral into a dozen separate circles, circles that spiral against until they are arranged in a circle of their own. They pulse, wait, and all is strangely silent. And then, suddenly, there is a great light from the fire, a rushing of air, a great flash, and you awaken again to see Durance in the same place, still holding his staff. But he is solid, real. He doesn't seem to have noticed you, or reacted to what occurred. I had a dream about Durance. My eyes seemed unable to focus on him, and blinding light burst from his staff. Something about the dream seemed all too real, as though something in his soul was revealing itself to me. I should ask him what I saw. So let's do it. Does something ail you? I had questions I wanted to ask you.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
I saw something strange. You were sitting by the fire, and I saw a great light from your staff.
Tell me what you saw.
It was a flash like an explosion, a rushing of air, incredibly bright.
It is the light of the Godhammer you saw.
The Godhammer? What about it?
It was a weapon of Deerwood's people, a symbol of their independence. It saved the Deerwood.
What do you know about it?
It brought the Saints' war to an end, knocked a god from his perch. There are few that would deny Eothas overstepped. The God Hammer reminded Eothas of it. You saw its light because I helped shape it, give it life, and release it into the world. Once seen, its glory is almost too bright to be believed, and too bright to be forgotten.
You helped build the Godhammer?
There were 12 of us. We fashioned the weapon, drafted plans for it, prayed for guidance at Ashfall, and it came to me there. Each of us were given a staff made from the forest of black trees around us, glowing with embers and fire far greater than this branch you see now. It felt as if the staff was Margaren's own finger, guiding my hand, guiding the other 11, the shadows of the 12 who had come to stand on the bridge to stop Eothas.
I also saw a dozen bright circles emerging from your staff as well.
Even in that stand, there was a ritual to it. For the 12 that stood on the bridge, there were a dozen shadows cast, a dozen faithful of Margren, her fiercest supporters and shapers of the Godhammer.
Durance rests the staff in front of him, and the flame atop it curls for a moment, the light flaring slightly. It splits into a ring of flames, one after the other, until a dozen is met.
As 12 held Eothas fast, we 12 unleashed our prayers and let the Godhammer fall.
Then it blossoms brightly, once, and resumes its candle intensity. In the aftermath, the shadows seem sharper in the vicinity, as if they have edges, and you blink to clear your vision. Durance is still staring at the tiny candle-like flame, intently.
Shadows cast by the fire of the Godhammer, perhaps. And we shared their fate as well in time. Now the spine of the Deerwood is marked by the Godhammer, marked by Margaret.
Durance frowns and moves his gaze from the staff. What do you mean, shared their fates?
Not all deaths come with stilled breath and stilled heart, or other stilled passions beneath the waste. Some deaths come from silence. The connection we once shared with Margren, after the light of the Godhammer, it was not the same. It was as if we'd lost our senses, and sense of purpose as well. Instead of victory, being welcomed, there was silence, within and without. Not many can claim to have killed a god. It is less a heroic tale than you would think. And such a death, it changed our faith. All faiths, I expect. Doubt followed, and the world changed. I do not believe Margren was pleased by what we had done.
Why is that?
The world is broken, the wheel stilled. There is sickness in the world's heart, perhaps the price of crossing a god. Crossing two gods. Even as Margren shaped our hands, perhaps we carried her will farther than was allowed, just as Widewind did. Saint Widewind. Mortal arrogance to match mortal arrogance. Yet if the world had changed, then I sought to change with it. If I had forgotten some of Margren's teachings, I would find them again. I would make her see me again.
What did you do?
I remembered Margren's teachings, how reminders on the flesh were more important than the death of a vessel. And I wondered if killing Eothas, If that had simply set him free, had it allowed him to escape his punishment and be taken on the wheel, like a mortal? As I stepped from the now blessed Godhammer Bridge, I thought of Ashfall. I thought of the War of Black Trees, wondered if I needed to be burned to find myself again. That is Margaret at her heart. At least that is my hope. These are the doubts that befall me.
What happened when you returned to Ashfall?
The road to Ashfall is long, gives one time to think, and if you think long enough, you do not go home. I left without telling anyone, with only the robes I wore at Halgot, my staff, and my name, which is long buried. Of my fellow 11 craftsmen, disciples, I know not what happened to them, if they suffered the same doubt as I did. But it was underserved. It was wrong. We had done all that Or had asked. Grab victory from defeat and...
Do you feel as if you betrayed your god?
There is something about being used and cast aside. Perhaps Widewen himself felt it. There at the end, when the hammer struck. To be the proof that your god is hollow as the vessel it inhabits. I tried to find purpose, and avoided all contact with other Magranic priests. Did not seek the walls of Ashfall, and sought to make amends to my god through actions. I joined with the Purges for a time, and not long after came the first signs of the Hollowborn. So many crimes, trespasses, violations. The Salvation. Animancers were another sickness born of the Saints' War. A relapse of innovation, of desperation to heal what we had caused. All seemed worse than before the bridge, not better. And as years passed, the world became even worse still for the victory.
Maybe the purges weren't what Magren wanted either. Sweat collects in the sooty creases of his forehead and runs down his ruddy cheeks. It drips from the tips of his nose. His mouth moves, but his utterance makes no sound. He is, for once, at a loss. Feeling your gaze, he quickly composes himself, wiping his forehead with the back of a dirty hand.
Worship the whims of some fickle bitch, and you'll never be more than dirt beneath her feet. Worship what she worships, on the other hand. Take her fire for your own, and her esteem comes on its own. Of course, by that time you no longer need it. Trial and transformation, sure as Derrin's taught.
Durance glares at you, and staring into his eyes gives you the feeling of peering over the edge of a great cliff.
You think to put the coals to my feet, but what's burned once will never burn again. These talks are your trial, Watcher. You cannot deflect the truth to one who has already been purified by it.
Tell me what happened on the bridge. We choose the bridge because we could control it. Duran's hands tighten at the top of the staff as if holding it by the neck. It was a place where we could choke Eothas in his own footsteps, where we knew his feet would fall, a narrow neck of stone. But it was more than that. It was a spine of the deerwood, symbolic of its backbone. Such symbols are important in the constructions of a weapon. Duran studies his staff, his eyes traveling along the etchings. Any weapon? Duran's face hardens and his eyes burn, his eyebrows narrowing. I suspect Eothas knew that as well, and so did his vessel, in its arrogance. His hand tightens on the staff. He intended to walk upon the bridge as if walking on the backs of the deer would, as we intended to burn him with the light of our faith and his. 12 on the bridge, 12 in the shadow, and gave ourselves to it. Give yourselves to it?
We put much of ourselves into the Godhammer. Such a device is not simply a machine. There are elements of the spirit in it, even Widewind's spirit.
Widewan? Why?
We all studied Widewind. He was our enemy, and he had provided the flesh the god wore as a cloak. That flesh made him vulnerable. I knew what fields his hands had tilled, his family, what he had harvested, where he had been born. We sought to know him, what had led him to fight us.
Why was that important?
You don't kill the god. You kill the man it inhabits. And you leave that man a ruin. Burn him to ash. The weapon was meant to not only burn his flesh, but it would burn his soul. And it did. At the cost of our own. And at the cost of our goddess's favor. That whore be damned.
Is that why your image was blurred in the dream? Duran's frowns, glances at you with a sharp look. Perhaps your eyes were blinded by the Godhammer's light, Watcher, he snorts. I may feel half a man at times, but even that is twice that of most others.
If you fear for my spirit, your fears are baseless. The Godhammer, seeing its light, only fueled my anger and made me stronger, made me re-examine the teachings of Margren, put them in a new light.
It looked as if there was only part of you, as if your spirit had been sheared in half.
I do not need you to cast any more questions on me, Watcher. Nor did I ask you to look upon me without my leave. Get gone, and leave me be.
Durance revealed to me that he was one of the engineers of the Godhammer bomb. There must be more to this that he isn't telling me. At least not yet.
Hmm? Certainly.
Looks a little healthier than before.
Seven more hours.
Oh?
Okay. So let's go here. Into Endless Path. Let's go with Palagina for a while. Okay. Unfortunately, this will be it for today. I do not have much more time for today to go deeper into the Kednua or Endless Path, so I'll leave that for next time. So, thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your time. The rest of your day. We will surely meet sooner or later at another part going deeper into the Endless Path. Feel free to follow me on my Twitch channel or to subscribe on my YouTube channel. See you soon.